Hello Cowboys Nation, welcome to another video, and without further ado, let's get to another round of news from America's team. Cowboys reveal fate of $34 million quarterback at NFL Scouting Combine. The Dallas Cowboys quarterback situation has remained tumultuously steady over the past decade since the somewhat seamless transition from Tony Romo to current franchise QB, Dak Prescott. The Cowboys signed Prescott to a league record 4-year, $240 million deal last offseason, which he promptly followed up with below-par performances before suffering a season-ending hamstring injury this past November. This was Prescott's third season out of the last 5 in which he has missed 5+ games, bringing the necessity of having a strong backup option firmly into the spotlight. And with the team tied to Prescott for at least the next 2 years, Dallas cannot simply go out and find a less injury-prone quarterback one. With current quarterback 2, Cooper Rush, likely to depart in free agency, having demonstrated his ability as one of the premier backups in the NFL once again in 2024, there is a gap on the team's depth chart at backup quarterback, one that, in theory, could be filled by former number 3 overall pick, Trey Lance. Lance, whom the Cowboys traded a 4th-round pick to the San Francisco 49ers for, back in 2023, has had few opportunities presented to him in Dallas, having spent his entire tenure in Texas behind both Prescott and Rush on the depth chart. Instead of taking this opportunity to re-sign Lance on the cheap as a high-ceiling backup, it seems that Cowboys ownership has seen enough of their quarterback 3, per insider, David Moore, of the Dallas Morning News. "We took a shot at Trey and wanted to do that," EVP Stephen Jones told Moore at the Combine on Monday. "We think the world of Trey. But us having Dak signed up for the long term, I think he's probably going to be looking for something different." Jones then notes that he would also like to bring in a young quarterback to develop, although in an ideal world, they would love a reunion with Rush. "You know how much we think of Cooper, we just don't know what he's going to cost. When we're paying Dak what we're paying him, unfortunately we do have to go cheap there." It's telling that Dallas is deliberately choosing to move off Lance, despite what would be a projected low price tag for his services, given their familiarity with him in the building. It shows how little "we think the world of" means in this day and age. This year's quarterback class is certainly not exactly one to behold at the top end, but there are certain intriguing prospects to be found toward the middle end of the draft. Cowboys could target 4,000-yard champion quarterback. At the beginning of last season, the Cowboys had a bit of a quarterback problem. They had too many. Dak Prescott was given the biggest QB contract in league history just before the year opened, and veteran backup Cooper Rush was firmly in place, too. The Cowboys stubbornly held on to Trey Lance as well, which made some sense given that the team had traded a 4th-rounder for him the previous summer. Now, though, Prescott is on the books, but both Lance and Rush are pending free agents. And it appears that the Cowboys won't be bringing back either one of them, according to Vice President Stephen Jones. "You know, I think one of our goals is to get a young quarterback in the draft," Jones told David Moore of the Dallas Morning News. "I don't know where that's going to be. That's why we gave a pick for Trey. It seems like all the quarterbacks, even guys we have in the 4th round, go in the 1st. They always go so much higher than what you think. There won't be too many quarterbacks going high this year, however, as the 1st round is expected to feature Colorado's Shedeur Sanders along with Miami's Cam Ward, but likely no other passers. There could be a surprise there, but most likely, the rest of the quarterback field will drop into the later rounds of the draft. Still, there are some interesting prospects on hand, ones with accomplished NCAA backgrounds. In listing potential draftees at quarterback for the Cowboys, the Dallas Morning News included some successful collegians, like Kyle McCord of Syracuse, Dylan Gabriel of Oregon and Quinn Ewers of Texas. But none has a better resume than that of Will Howard, the Ohio State quarterback who rallied his team to playoff dominance in taking the Buckeyes to the national championship. Playoff dominance does, indeed, sound like a phrase Cowboys fans could get used to. Howard transferred to OSU last year from Kansas State in what was a notable deal worth a reported $1 million. He threw for 4,010 yards on the season, with 35 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. The Cowboys will get a good look at him this week at the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. Emmitt Smith offers up wild Cowboys trade idea to help CeeDee Lamb. The Dallas Cowboys have a lot of work to do this offseason to get themselves back into a position where they can genuinely compete with the upper echelon teams in the NFC, a group that obviously includes the division rival and newly crowned Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. To do this, of course, Jerry Jones and new head coach Brian Schottenheimer must address the many, many holes that currently exist on the Dallas roster. And of the several positions where the Cowboys have problems, wide receiver is undoubtedly at or near the top of the list. As far as how the Cowboys go about strengthening the wide receiver room, free agency, and the NFL draft are the obvious options. But legendary Dallas running back Emmitt Smith has another idea in mind, one that would involve pairing Lamb with one of the wideouts with whom he shared first-team All-Pro honors in 2023. In a recent conversation with the Dallas Morning News, the NFL's all-time leading rusher suggested the Cowboys should take a look at making a blockbuster trade with the Miami Dolphins to acquire Tyreek Hill. "Maybe we need to go after Tyreek Hill," Smith said, "someone that can go down the field and give CeeDee Lamb a chance to work underneath." If Dallas is looking to make any sort of splash this offseason, that would certainly get it done, wouldn't it? Like the Cowboys, the Dolphins dealt with several injuries to high-profile players during the 2024 and Hill, who failed to reach the 1,000-yard mark for the first time since 2019, didn't hide his frustration, saying that he was opening the door to a possible exit out of Miami. He later apologized and stated he had no desire to leave the Dolphins, but that doesn't necessarily mean Miami wouldn't explore trading him if the right deal came along. Trading Hill post-June 1 would save the Dolphins nearly $15 million of cap space, but those savings couldn't be used until then. And even then, he'd still count $12.8 million against the cap. As for the Cowboys, the combination of Lamb and Hill is obviously intriguing. Imagine how much easier life would be for Dak Prescott.